The one weird thing for me was I had a low grade fever for quite a long time, just bouts of like terrible abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, just like these really bad flare ups. There was always this underlying sense of something is off, something is not right. And the physician's assistant comes in and she was like, "We don't normally say things like this, but we found a mass in your abdomen and we're pretty sure it's cancer. Like, you need to go to a doctor tomorrow." I'm a single lady. Like, I don't have a partner. I don't have family. So when I go to these doctor's appointments, it's just me. So there's no one in the room to like look at to be like, "Holy, did you just hear that?" I had a low grade fever for quite a long time. And that was in the days of COVID when if you had a fever, you weren't supposed to go to work. So it was like very problematic because I think the rule at the time was like a 99.5, and I would have this intermittent fever somewhere between 99.5 and 100, but I wasn't really sick, and I would go get a COVID test or I'd go to the doctor. It would just rinse and repeat, but you couldn't go to work. So like I was missing a good amount of work just from this one weird symptom. But then the symptoms that really kind of led to the diagnosis were I was having intermittent just bouts of like terrible abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea. And then I would either go to the doctor, go to urgent care, go to the hospital, and they'd kind of be like, not really sure, go see your primary care doctor. I'd say that went on probably about a year. I was also going through IVF at the time. It was super stressful. I mean, I think anyone who's gone through IVF will tell you how much of a roller coaster that is. And so just those like appointments, you have all these monitoring appointments, you're constantly in and out of doctors' offices anyway. So there was just a lot going on. I think that I just felt really busy and confused a lot of the time, like a lot of appointments and not feeling great. And then the medications that you use for IVF just don't make an average person feel well. So you compound that on not feeling well. And I just didn't feel good. My weight was fluctuating and things were just like generally not good, without an answer though, just like something's wrong. I was just living my life as normal, but just there was always this underlying sense of something is off, something is not right. And I didn't have the typical symptoms of ACC where hormonally things were off. Like a good amount of people with this cancer have high cortisol or other high hormones related to their adrenal glands. I had gotten tired of going to the same hospital, and not getting an answer. I'd been very frustrated, talked to my primary care provider, who was wonderful and always very supportive of me. That was like never, an issue for me. And she suggested that I just go to this other urgent care that has imaging, because she was like, maybe just getting somebody else to look at it. And so I went in there, explained my symptoms. They did an abdominal CAT scan and I was feeling really lousy. Physician's assistant comes in and she was like, "We don't normally say things like this, but we found a mass in your abdomen and we're pretty sure it's cancer. Like, you need to go to a doctor tomorrow." For them to say that just meant it was like so large and consuming that they didn't even know what to do with it. So that was really strange. A nurse came in and kind of said a prayer over me. It was very strange, which I'm not a religious person. Normally something like that, if I was feeling well, would be icky to me. But I was like, I'll take it because this is crazy. I did a lot of the advocating for myself. So I'm very lucky. A good friend of mine, their mother is a retired nurse, but she's a boss nurse. She's chief nursing officer nurse. Okay. She took the report, took a copy of it and sent it to a friend of hers who's a radiation oncologist, which at that point, I don't even know what a radiation oncologist is. I have no idea. So she sent it to him and he read the report and he said, "You need to tell her to go to Dana-Farber right now. Dana-Farber is not here. We're 3 hours away." But at that point I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to this man this is his full-time job, So I bypassed local care immediately, which I actually credit to why I'm sitting here able to talk to you with this disease, because no one locally has ever really treated this disease. When I got diagnosed and finally made it to an endocrinologist here, who's an adrenal expert, I was her first patient with it. I feel that's the turning point in the story for me, where I'm very lucky because I know a lot of people with this cancer don't have that opportunity, be it geographically, financially, whatever. They just don't always make it to those cancer care centers that are experts in the disease. But funny enough, they didn't know what I had then. So they were just like, go to Dana-Farber. We think it's a sarcoma at that point. So they sent me to a sarcoma specialist who was wonderful. First, my doctor had me like run around and get all the scans I'd had. She was like, get all the images, take them with you to this place. And so we go to the sarcoma specialist. He pulls up the images from months before. What do you know? There's a tumor on one of those scans. Yeah, just didn't get reported. So he sent me in for a biopsy. He kind of said, like, I'm going to test a few of your hormones because we don't want to do a biopsy if it's adrenal, but I don't think it's adrenal. So we're going to do this biopsy. Biopsy was terrible because you're awake for it. Very painful. They couldn't tell where the tumor was stemming from. They just said it's touching your pancreas, your kidney, your adrenal gland, your spleen. Like they did not know where it was growing from. Eventually, at the time I was living in the city, found a wonderful doctor down there who was like an expert and just took care of business for me. And so I was just like used to it. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm not crazy. There was something actually wrong with me. So that was like a weird in-between time. And he's like, I'm going to send you to an endocrine surgeon who specializes in adrenal, tumors. So I get to this guy a couple weeks later. He's like, you're going to meet me in the operating room in like 2 weeks. He's like, this has to come out. And I think I was scheduled for surgery after seeing him within not even 2 weeks, like maybe a week and a half later. When the doctor was prepping me for the surgery, his biggest focus was like, you're probably going to wake up without your kidney. I mean, the funny part to me about adrenal cancer is most people don't know what their adrenal glands are. Like, I knew what it was, but I didn't know anything about it. I didn't really know what it did. Like it was just a thing in my body, I don't know. So I was more focused on like, oh, I'm going to lose a kidney. Like for some reason, that was something like that concrete that I could like grab onto. And he had told me there was a chance like you'll have to have your spleen removed, part of your pancreas, but he was super focused on the kidney because the tumor was, on my adrenal gland, which is sitting on top of your kidney. And so when I woke up from surgery, they were like, we took out your tumor, your left adrenal gland, part of your pancreas, and your spleen. And I was like, what? I thought I was going to wake up without a kidney. Like they had said that might happen, but it wasn't the focus of the conversation. So it was just a very strange, that was very strange because it just felt like at every point in the story, things take a turn. There was nothing like predictable about this. I was in the hospital a while. I want to say 8 or 9 days. I have a scar from like my sternum down past my belly button. They just kind of, depending on the surgery, some ACC patients have like the scar that goes across. Mine is just straight down. That's a terrible thing to recover from. It's just really hard. But before this, I had, despite having like a lot of health problems and like outpatient surgeries, I've never stayed in a hospital before that surgery. So I was just like, get me out of here. Like I need to be out. So that was the first of it, but there's weird things that happen when you don't have a spleen that like I wasn't prepared for. So when you lose your spleen, you have to have all these extra immunizations. So that was a big focus of being in the hospital for a while, was just like that I needed to make sure I was not exposed to things that could get me sick. And, on blood thinners, all of these things that they kind of like send you home with. And you're just like, oh my God, this is my life now. Fortunately, I have friends in Boston. I had places to stay, people around me. I didn't feel like I was totally alone. I would say every visit except the surgery, I drove myself to and from because I'm just stubborn like that. I met with the endocrinologist who was wonderful and explained, that I would be taking this terrible medication, this oral chemo made out of, a banned pesticide from the 1970s, and that I would need to wear rubber gloves to touch it. Which is my favorite part. It's like, you can ingest it, just don't touch it. And then I would be going to the oncologist essentially just for scans, like, and checking on symptoms. And then the radiation oncologist there met with me, explained sort of like their plan and what they recommend. And thank goodness, he's like, you don't have to do your radiation here. You can do that like back home. And so I was encouraged to also have a team of these same doctors back home. So then I had to search and find an endocrinologist, an oncologist, and a radiation oncologist locally, so that if I needed help day to day, things like that, I had someone and I wasn't going back and forth. So that was just a lot to take in. It was like okay, we're not done. We're not even close to done. We're just the second chapter, basically, And at that same time, that the radiation oncologist in Boston, that's where I found out, like, hey, we know you were doing all this IVF. Now's your chance. Like, if you really want to have a kid, you have to do it now, because after this, you won't be able to, or, we don't recommend pregnancy after the radiation and the chemotherapy. They're like, do you want to do that? And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'd done it. Like, it actually closed that chapter for me so nicely, because I was like, I cannot bring myself to inject myself with these medications or feel sick more than I already do. It's bittersweet, I guess, but it was like the nicest kind of like, okay, we're done here. Like, this chapter is closed and we're just moving on to the next part of the story. It's like a blurred line, right? Because technically, like, how for my case only, like every case with this disease is so unique, right? But for my case, it's essentially that, like, they got all the cancer out during that surgery. And everything from that point on, the 2 years of chemo, the radiation, was sort of just like a preventative thing to be like, if there is microscopic disease living in your body, we are going to kill it with the radiation or the chemo. I was living my life even on doing the oral chemo. I had trips that, like, we had a family Alaskan cruise that we were supposed to do during COVID, which then got canceled. And then, during 2021 got canceled. And so it was 2022. And they were like, are you going to come on this cruise? And I was like, sure, why not? So I did a lot of things those first 2 years during chemo feeling lousy, but I was just like, I don't know what my life is going to look like. I don't, like, I could not make it through these 2 years. I could find out at the next 3-month scan that they found something. So I was just living my life, doing whatever. So it was an interesting dynamic, because I think people were like, well, you don't look sick. It was like the bane of my existence. And I'm like, well, you didn't see me throw up this morning. You don't see the, like, I used to get burst blood vessels in my eyes and all around my eyes from throwing up so hard. And I'm like, cover that up with makeup, go about your day. I didn't go hard, but I was just like, I can't stop living. And when you are faced with a diagnosis like this, it's like, if you have the opportunity to do things, you're just going to do things. The only thing that's going to stop you is physically, if you don't feel up to it. It was all Instagram for me, basically. And I don't even know how, like, hashtags, nonsense, just like searching for people. My doctors in Boston had mentioned, like, oh, my surgeon was like, I have a patient who I did this surgery, or I did an ACC surgery, and she ran a marathon. And I found that woman. I was like, they talk about you at the hospital. I'm crazy behind a laptop. There's not much I can't find. I joke around. My friends always joke about me being like the FBI. So I just went hard on Instagram and found people. And since then, like, things have popped up, different patient groups, different new organizations. And those are helpful, ways to do that as well. But thank God for that, because you do feel so alone. I don't know anyone locally that has this disease. No, I am working with Let's Cure ACC. It's like one of those organizations. So, I think I did mention that, like, you just have to connect with, those kinds of organizations when you have a rare diagnosis. And there's no logo or slogan to be made. There's no way to, like, drum up attention about, like, some of these rare cancers and things. So, can be a little frustrating, I think, as a patient. I'd say a lot of people in my life probably don't even know to this day what kind of cancer I had. People in general, after COVID, I feel like we've lived through so much, right? People are like, they need, like, nostalgia. They need, like, joy and, like, whimsy in their lives. And that is, like, the center of the things that I do now. I'm a huge boy band fan. I have, like, leaned into it so hard since getting sick. I've, like, gone to concerts all over, done meet and greets, hung out with these, like, bands, like, as if I pretend, it's like this whole, like, parasocial thing where you, like, pretend you're friends with them and you're not, you're really paying to be there, right? But, like, I'm like, this makes me happy. Like, going to a concert, screaming these songs, being with my friends doing it, like, going to Broadway shows, things like that. Like, I'm just like, you have to do what makes you happy. Like, that's really, and if other people think what makes you happy is silly, like, it does not matter. Like, you just have to live your life. And I just think that, like, everyone is looking to, like, feel happy and healthy and secure. And it's like, that's just part of it for me. It's just doing the things that I want and, like, just owning it and living my life. Another thing I think is important is to, like, and my doctor told me this, and is to not, like, when you go online and you look up, like, 5-year survival rates and all that stuff, like, you can't take that to heart. Like, you have to just look at it and move on. Like, my doctor was actually like, you shouldn't even look at it, but I'm the type that I'm going to look at it regardless. But I was able to look at it with like a healthy lens of like, that exists, that's based on data, and I am one person, and like, my story is going to be what my story is going to be. So I think that is probably one important thing I think people should remember when they're looking all this up, because you don't need to rabbit hole on the internet in the negativity.